Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been weeks and weeks. We did a very brief Christmas Eve check-in, and then last week was meant to be Happy New Year, but I had a headache, so just puppies last week. And now, finally, here we are again. I've missed you, but it's nice to have a proper chat, and there is plenty to talk about today. First off, being stitching in action. It's been a few weeks and you guys have been so productive, so I have lots to share. First one up, I look at my pictures here so I get it right. This is Holiday Card 2021 stitched by Debbie. Debbie finished it, I love it. She finished it on a book and she used those beautiful gold pins to highlight it. I love this so much, and making the pins around the edge such a feature is a great idea. Of course, I see that little alpaca, I should say, sculpture on the side. That is so cute. I can only imagine how much Rye would love if I tried to display something like that and it became hers. My son got a stuffed animal from his girlfriend over Christmas, and Rye has tried several times to steal it and claim it for her own, so we have to guard things like that very carefully. Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing that one with us. Next, we have Language of Flowers Friendship, another of my favorites, stitched by Christina. She used 32 count Azure Blue Lugana fabric and finished it with Lady Dot Velveteen. I love the way it's slightly offset. That's always a favorite effect of mine. And I really like the way the orangey red flowers pop against that blue linen. This is a gift for a friend of hers, which is, of course, a perfect use for this design. Thank you so much for sharing that, Christina. Next up, Wisdom of Wombats. This one is stitched by Tanya. She used 40 count Pampas grass by Color and Cotton, which is beautiful. The finishes on these are absolutely perfect. She made two of them, one for each of her daughters to display on their bookshelves, which is absolutely perfect for reading wombats. I really like that twisted, braided, it almost looks like chenille trim around the edge, and I asked her and she said it's actually jute. So well done, Tanya. Very good. I love those. Next up, this is from another floss tuber you may know, MissusStitches. She stitched Christmas Hippo, and I'll put the info in the notes so you can find her. And she did it on a blue fabric. This is 11 count, so she said it's an absolute pig for floss because she had to use 3 strands, which I find very impressive. Such a tangler. Using anything over 1 strand for me is always a recipe for So I love the way it came out though, and I love that periwinkle background color of this one. She used the large format and made it into a Hippo Holidays card. What a great idea. So thank you very much, Sheila, for sharing that. Next up, I wasn't kidding, we have lots this time. It's so fun. This is from Paula. She chose one of the little designs from the 12 Dogs at Christmas because she attended the Jingle Ball, so she got access to that one. And this is a memorial for her friend's dog, Bugsy, which is just really special. So she changed the colors a little bit to match Bugsy. She used pre-bought corded trim, pre-made, purchased as is cording, which I think is such a great idea and so helpful. And then I really love too that little poinsettia detail. It made just an absolutely perfect little small ornament or feature item. So thank you, Paula. I hope Bugsy really is well memorialized with this, so thank you. Finally, we have one more Wisdom of Wombats. This is from Melissa, and Melissa stitched this on 32 count silvery moon fabric from number 12 Stitch Co., who is a great dyer in Australia. I have a number of her pieces of fabric in my stash as well. They're always beautiful. And she finished it on a thrift store book. I love the look of this. I love the background fabric she chose. So thank you, Melissa, for sharing this. You guys, what a great job. You've done so well. I'm so proud of you. And I love it. I love seeing how the things get translated into your own vision. So thank you all for sharing those. On to what I'm stitching. I did actually get a little bit of personal stitching over the holidays. It's not that common. This time of year is the very busiest for me in my regular job because it's for accountants, obviously, go time. And then in market prep, it's very busy. So I did get a little bit of time over the holidays. It was kind of nice. We hit some of the snow and lost our internet for a couple days. It was bliss. And I got personal stitching done. I'm still working on the DMC Greyhounds. I'll show the original here, and then you can see how absolutely intoxicated with power I've been. But this is, oh, I always have a tough time getting centered. There we go. This is the way it's coming out. I love it. This is about the halfway point, I think right here on this little element. So here will be another Greyhound. But I'm really pleased with the way it's coming out. I will say I did end up making a photocopy of the pattern and highlighting as I go, and that has been absolutely key for this one. It's not something I do very often, but for this design in particular, yeah, really happy I'm doing that. So one more look, since it may be a few weeks before I get more personal stitching done, but you can just see there how nicely it's coming out. Stash Spotlight, I'm going to skip this week because, as I'll discuss later, I'm in my office and everything is still topsy-turvy. So next time we'll have some Stash Spotlight to discuss. But I do have a world around. Just, I think last week, or the week before maybe, my son and I were walking the dogs, and suddenly there in the greenbelt was this huge group of snow geese. And I've put in some of our video. I'll put in some better pictures as well since we were a little far away. They do migrate through Nevada very commonly, but we don't generally see them at our house because we don't generally have as much water as they like in the greenbelt. But with the big storms coming through, some of that precipitation did make it over the mountain, filled up our greenbelt nicely, and while it was running full, the snow geese came to visit, so we got to see them, which means I got to look them up and learn about them, and they are pretty amazing. Obviously, they're called snow geese because they tend to be white, but there's a morph that's called blue that has a lot more black feathers on it, and so you'll see this flock of 27 white geese and 2 black geese just mixed in, and they're all the same. It's not a different variety of snow geese, it's just a different coloration or morph. They live, as you would expect from the name, very, very high up on the planet. So near the Arctic Circle is where they breed. And obviously that's quite a flight for them to make it down here, even for the winter. Snow geese babies are born able to travel up to 50 miles in their first 3 weeks. So very strong. And maybe unusually for birds, they're almost as good on land as they are, well, not. They're surprisingly good on land, given how much they fly. And while they're molting and not flying, they're able even to outrun predators on the ground. So very interesting snow geese. I was really, really pleased. They have very, very white eggs, but people who watch the nests and do the counts can often tell the age of the eggs or the order in which they were laid by how easily they stain. So the oldest ones, the ones that are laid first, are the dirtiest eggs, which just hurts my firstborn child's heart. But yes, the older the egg, the closer it is to hatching, the dirtier it is. And because they're so blindingly white, it's easy to tell who's the new egg and who isn't. The oldest snow goose on record lived over 30 years. And actually was recently died in 2020, I believe. So, snow geese. Well, I was excited to be able to see them in person. It's not something that, as I said, we usually get here, so that was a treat. Questions. Obviously, last time was a mini Flosstube, and so I didn't ask a question, but this time Sharon was very kind in answer to the newsletter to send me several questions, so I'll go over some of those in upcoming Flosstubes. Her first one was, how do you decide on fabric when you begin a design, and is it difficult to choose flosses when there are so many choices? To me, the flosses would take the most time. Is that true? Yes, it absolutely is true. So, going through the sort of the process in general, when I start a design, I'll pull up the software that I use, and I will choose, almost always from DMC, the colors that look on the screen like the colors I'm envisioning. Make the design, print out the list, pull the flosses that it says I used, decide, oh, no, that's not at all what it looks like on the screen, toss them around. And it's one of the reasons that I bobbinate my floss, because I keep them, let's see, in drawers. It'll be a little bit hard to see, but this is the messy drawer. So that I can easily choose by number or name, but also by color. So when I pull my list of flosses and it says, oh, you used 918, and I pull the floss and it isn't the color that I'm trying to achieve from the design on the screen, then I can easily go through the drawers of colors and say what is closer to what I'm looking for. Get all the candidates, narrow it down. I have to go through the design elements one at a time to see, okay, if I've used these two colors, will they really show up against each other in this element? And sometimes it means I have to change the colors for that element. Sometimes it means I have to change one of the colors completely. If there are areas that are large in the design, I like to use a variegated floss in those. But if there are areas where I know I'm going to have to do a lot of stitching out one way and stitching back the other across, then I tend not to use a lot of variegation because it makes it easier to do that without showing kind of funky differences. Once all those flosses are done and I've updated the software to reflect what I'm actually using, then I go to the bins of linen, and we'll see those when we do an office tour, and start picking what do I think will look good. The software lets me choose a background fabric just to get an idea, you know, do greens tend to look good? Do I want a blue? Do I want a neutral color? But ultimately at the end of the day, I go through the linens and I just flip and flip and flip until I see one that looks like it might work. Lay the fabric on it, or the threads on it. Does everything show up? Does it look better on this one versus that one? And that's the process. I wish I had a more scientific method, but I don't. And yes, you are absolutely right, Sharon. Choosing the threads takes far longer than choosing the linen. So that's the way it goes. As always, if you have any questions, do feel free to shoot me an email, respond to the newsletter. I'm going to use the newsletter a bit more this year. In the past, it's just been new product announcements. And so starting this year, I'm going to send them more often, and often not with new products, just to check in. I'll also be letting you know where I will be. So more on that later. Best thing this video, it's my office. It's smaller than the dining room, but I don't care. It has a door, which is on that side, and behind me you can see the very very organized where I store my printed covers for charts. And we'll do a proper tour soon. I'm still hanging pictures and getting things arranged and putting all the cords away, all of that stuff. So, but it's really nice to be in here where I can close the door if I need to. More of my things are in the same space. When I was in the dining room, most of the things were elsewhere, so it's really nice to be in here. Giveaway. Last video we didn't do one, obviously, and then I said that this year I'm going to start by clearing out some of the things that have been unclaimed in previous giveaways. So, starting off with a big one. Last year, Steph and I did Saltwater Scrapbooks, our first collaboration, and you can see the two parts there. Steph and 805 Stitcher did magnificent project bags just for these, full of threads and goodies and all sorts of stuff. And this one was never claimed. So if you'd like to win this one, use the word ocean in your comments, and I'll draw a winner for the next video. So this can find a home that's not in my cupboard, but where it can be used. So again, ocean is the word. Leave that in your comments, and we'll see if we can get this off to you. Announcements. As I said, I'll be sending out newsletters more often, and I will let you know where I'm going to be. I am doing one in-person retreat this fall, and so I'll be designing for that. I'm also designing kits for another in-person retreat, which I won't be attending because it's at the same time, but I'm just getting confirmation from both shop owners that I can tell you in advance. I don't want to step on anyone's announcements, but yeah, I'll let you know where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be doing, what online events I'll be attending as they are released, so you'll get a better idea if you want to see special blue flower designs as they're coming out. And I have thought about, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going off book because I'm drunk with power. I'm going to show you the first of my market designs before anybody. This isn't on the wholesale page. I haven't notified the shops. I just really want to show it because it's sitting here. This is the Glad Sun, and I'll talk more about it later, but like I said, it's sitting here and I wanted to talk about it, so I am, because I am absolutely drunk with power. Get a closer look here. This was originally conceived as a companion piece to Night Walk Down. Someone said, are you going to do a design with the sun? And that's how this came about. As I said, I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but I just wanted to share a sneak peek with you so you can see, get a better view here. There we go. So something to look forward to. It's out on my desk because it's getting photographed hopefully tomorrow if it's sunny. We're still getting a little bit of that storm system coming through. But that is it for me today. It's been absolutely lovely to catch up with you again. We've got puppy video coming, and I really hope your new year is off to a wonderful start. Have a great weekend, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.